Hello, welcome to the Stockyard Industrial Lead. I'm Eric Miller, and today we're going to continue this little series on detailing the operations on my industrial spurs, customer spurs. We're going to be talking about the locked boxes that I have on my layout and how I use them and basically what they're for. So I know I've gotten this comment a lot on some of my past videos, what are these locks for? And I've mentioned them and talked through them as I operate, but today I wanted to cover them in detail. So essentially, I have two different kinds of boxes that this has been a bit of an evolution on my layout. And as you can see here, I've got an example of each one. So this one on the left is the smaller one that I use to represent the gates for customers. Basically, when you come up to a spur and there's a gate with a padlock on it, like on a real life industrial spur, that's what that represents. So the conductor then has to physically, unlock the lock and open the gate. And then the other one is a slightly bigger one. This one on the right, these I use for putting notes for the conductor and the crew, and basically explaining them what to do. And I put them on industries that might be a little bit more complex, where you've got some more options on where to spot cars. So on an operating session, just to refresh, I have a crew of two people when I operate. So I'll have two guests over, an engineer and a conductor, and then I will serve as, in addition to kind of the overall dispatcher and overseer of things, I will also serve as the industrial foreman. And so people will talk to me and say, hey, how do you want this car spotted and whatnot? So I could essentially cover the function of this box here, but I do like having a note for the crews as well, because I think it's helpful. And then if I'm busy with something, they have that note there that they can just look at themselves and use for reference. So as far as the gates, let me cover that first. So for example, this gate is for the Payless Cashways customer back there, lumberyard. There's just a lone box car sitting back there. So right now I don't have any gate scenic on the layout. That's something that I've been planning to do for years now. So right now I just use this little piece of cardboard that's in the way, and so the crew has to remove that. So in addition to that, and this is something else that's in my timetable, just like the switch locks that I mentioned before. So again, what you'll do is the conductor has the keys, and you'll just use the lock that's associated with this. Now, I bought a bunch of locks at Home Depot a few years ago, and they didn't have a lot that were keyed alike. I think I only got like a pair, like two of them. So what I do is I color code these, and as you can see, basically what I just did is spray painted it with the key in there, so that matches the lock, and you always know that. So when the crew is working, they basically need to keep this open as if it were the gate, and then when they're done with the industry, just close it and lock it back up. So just like, again, just like a real life customer spur. Now let's move on to the lockbox and what that represents. So this is a lockbox for ready mix concrete over here. Now ready mix concrete is a bit of a complex customer because there's a variety of cars, and they need to be spaced different ways, and sometimes not all the cars are done being worked on, and so there might still be some loads in them that the customer wants to finish, and so they might have a preference on how they're sorted based on how they want them moved through the industry here. So, and you'll notice that they also have a gate as well. So on these lock boxes, they can double as a gate in addition to the notes. And so how do you know that there's a note? So what I've done is I've developed on my switch list through JMRI Ops that there's a way when a customer is being worked on, there's a selection for adding a note. And so I have this note up here: scheduled work at Bellevue, checkbox for car spot locations at Ready Mixed, so that the crew should say, oh yeah, we need to check this box for our instructions. And then what I'll do before the ops session, this is just an additional activity that I do that doesn't take a ton of time, is I'll go through and I'll put a sticky note where there is a note that needs to be done at a customer. So you open up this and you'll see a sticky note, and this just tells you where to spot the any cars that are coming in, and just any sort of note. And so what I have to do then, basically before I have the op session, is think through, okay, what cars are coming into this industry and being worked on, and how do I want them spaced, and then I'll write that note in there so that the crew knows what to do. So it's similar to if you're in real life switching a customer, and they might leave a note by the gate that says, hey, you know, we want this car here, or whatever. And then again, when the crew is done working, they'll just close it and lock it up and leave it to go. And then, as always, you know, communicate with the industrial foreman is what I tell my crews, and just let me know when you're done and that sort of thing. So basically that's all there is to it. Just similar to the locks that I have for turnouts, this is just an extra step, just something kind of fun to make it a little more realistic. Again, it's not the worst thing in the world if a crew forgets to look at the note, or if they forget to unlock for the gate. You know, you can still work and switch it, but I just think it's something fun to do with the operations, and it kind of helps slow things down a little bit, so you're just not running into a spur with your car and you know, switching it out real fast and getting out as quick as you can, you know, because I really want the operations to go a little bit slower. So and also kind of emphasize to crews that, you know, take your time. This is supposed to be fun and like a real operation. And again, with not having too many industries and a whole lot of car spotting, I think this extra work doesn't it doesn't add a ton of time, you know, to the process. And so you've got that time that you can spend on each industry, just like on the prototype. All right, so that's basically it. That's all I wanted to cover today. So next week I'll do some more operating, and then the week after I'm going to talk about blue flags and what I use them for, because you'll notice that's something else that we've got here on the customer spur, and that's something that I use all over the layout. Okay, so thanks for watching this, and feel free to leave any comments, questions you may have, and thoughts on future video ideas. So thanks again, and I will see you next week.